Yeah, hello, what is up you guys? Today we're going to be going over the top 5 must-have characters. Now this is not to be confused with the top 5 strongest. This is not to be confused with a tier list. It is the top 5 must-have as in the most useful, which means support matters, which means whether they're in game can matter, any of the ors, any of that. Like all of that we're taking into consideration. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, first one I'm going to start off with, honestly, is sort of two of them. Is going to be the one, the only, both green Kaidos. Now this is kind of 2 units I'm kind of considering as one as a whole, because honestly you're going to want both, or either they're really going to go far. Either of the green Kaidos. You have the green attacker Kaido is the first one up. He's an older unit. He's relatively useless in the current meta and in the game. He's been power crept so far, so using him out in league battle is going to be very difficult because he has a lot of things that work against him. So I don't recommend using him, but for support he's actually phenomenal. He has so many things going for him. Kaido as a whole is really useful, and on top of that you have your metal fragments that you can get from just playing him, or just getting the metal fragments from those daily to items that you can grab in the solo player mode. So that is an option that you can use. On top of that, his tags, he has attacker, he has Zoan, captain, we ignore power user because it doesn't matter, new world, and then animal kingdom pirates. So he has so many tags that are amazingly useful, and they do a lot. Now I think this is perfect. Attacker tag is generally one of the better ones. If I were to rate the tags, it's probably, I mean, depending on whether you're playing defender or attacker. Attacker or defender can be top. So those are the top 2, and then runner's kind of just a tier below. Runner tag isn't as important, but it is still nice to have depending on what unit you are using. So overall, that's the green attacker Kaido, and if you're not using him and you want the EX, that's the advantage, is the green attacker one is going to be easier to level up, whereas the EX one will probably take a little bit longer depending on what your scenario is, but he does have all the same tags except for the runner tag difference. So that is just something to take into consideration as you're getting them. I think they're both fantastic. They do complete Zoan support for green color dramatically, and they are very useful. So if you are building out greens and that is the color that you want to go for, if you're a new player, I strongly recommend focusing on one singular color. Those are 2 must-have characters. This is going to be my first one out of the 5, is both of those Kaidos. I know it's kind of 2 different units and I'm counting them as one. It's okay. But Kaido, make sure you have him. He is just too good. The next unit may be somewhat of a surprise, and some of you may disagree with me on this, but I think if you are going to be building blues and blue support, I think this is a must-have. Now, he is also another very power crept character. He came out years ago in One Piece Bounty Rush, but the one, the only Fleet Admiral Sengoku. Now, he doesn't have the most amount of tags, but the tags that he does have are insanely useful. So he has the Defender tag, insanely useful. You're going to want that if you are playing blue defender. He has the Navy tag, which helps dramatically if you're playing defenders who do not have knockback to knock down, so that can be very useful. Someone like Mont Blanc Noland, who can get knocked off the flag, that tag is very useful, as the Navy tag reduces the amount that you are knocked back when you're on your captured treasure. And on top of that, you have Zoan, which takes reduced damage from the colors you are weak against, so it will take 15% reduced damage from light units as well as green units, so it'll help keep you alive and be a little bit tankier. We ignore the power users tag, and then the Grand Line tag, which makes you take reduced damage from the color that is the same as yours, aka blue. So these are very useful. I think he's a one of a kind. He's like the only person who has all of these tags together, I think, for the most part. Maybe there's other colors, but at least for blue he is. So he comes in very clutch. I strongly recommend leveling him up and getting him for support. In terms of playing him, he's not going to be your go-to choice. I think he can be somewhat played, but he's not that useful there. He has too many weaknesses, and the meta is insanely power crept beyond belief. So Sengoku, fantastic unit. I would recommend getting him for your support if you can, and if you have the resources to go for that. Next one I think is also going to be somewhat of an unexpected pick, is the blue attacker extra unit. Again, fantastic unit for support. In terms of playing him in league battle, maybe not your go-to option. I think he can be played. Not the best choice, though. His tags that he has going for him is the attacker tag. We've gone over this. This is phenomenal. He has the Navy tag. also phenomenal. He's got Zoan, also phenomenal. If you're not caught on, Zoan tag's nearly a must-have and it's far too strong. When you don't have Zoan tag, trust me, you can feel it. So those 3 tags obviously very similar to Sengoku, and it will have a very good synergy with Sengoku in your support. So just putting those 2, if you're a blue main, this is going to be some 2 must-have units. We ignore the power user tag. You have New World, which does increased damage to the color you are weak against. So if you are fighting someone like a green unit, you'll be able to do extra damage towards that. And on top of that, you have Worst Generation. So a little extra knockback when you're on your captured treasure, if you're choosing that. This is fantastic for defender-oriented support, if you're going for that, but I think X-Drake is just far too good, has so many resources and tags that are going for him. Those Worst Generations are a power to be messed with. Okay, at this point, you're probably like, what is this garbage? He's given nothing but nearly unplayable units except for Hybrid Kaido. I understand, but the point of this is that it's the must-have characters. As I said, must-have characters aren't always the ones that are playable in the meta. If you're leveling characters that are only playable in the meta, your support's probably going to look like some hot trash unless you're an extremely veteran player. So, if you're a newer player, that's why I recommend focusing on several of these characters. Now, obviously, if you're a brand new, don't try and get all these different characters together because you want to focus one color, so I do want to throw that out there and mention that. Anyways, here's a character that is actually playable and thrives in the meta with extremely large amounts of damage. Ace Yamato has the ability to ignore defense on their basic attacks, which is huge. You can be basic attacking for like 10k damage depending on who you're fighting, and it's disgusting. And on top of that, you have 4 skills. This is 1 unit but has 2 characters. There's so much going for it, and it actually goes a long way. So Ace Yamato is probably some of the highest damage you can get in the game. They one shot on one shot on one shot, and on top of that, they also have a large amount of tags going for them. So they have the attacker tags, they have Zoan, they have Logia. Logia tends to be not the most useful of tags, but I find it to be rather fascinating. It does reduce the damage from long range attacks. So depending on someone like Pacifista, someone like that has like long range attacks, so this can actually do a pretty good amount. Now, obviously, it's only when your HP is high enough, but it's a thing. So, and it helps you prevent staggering and whatnot. Then you have Zoan as well. There it is. I love Zoan support. Then you have Logia. Already mentioned that. You have Captain on that as well, because this is when Ace was a captain. And then you have New World as well. So, lots of things to be put into one technically unit, but it's 2 characters. So there's a lot there. They're fantastic supports, and they do a lot. Okay, this last one I think should not come to a shock to anyone who is familiar with this game. If you're brand new, well, honestly, I don't even know if it should surprise you either. The one, the only Monkey D. Luffy Gear 5 form unit. He is technically a green defender when he is acting in your support, but when you are out on the field, you have the ability to become an attacker as well as a runner. So it depends on where you're at and what you're doing on the map. So you can be all 3 classes, attacker, defender, and runner. And you have basically 3 skills. You have 1 skill that is only usable once on your skill 2, but then your skill 2 acts differently after the first usage. So he has a lot going for him. He has insane damage. He is able to be tanky. He can hold his flags. He can charge them up to 150%, and he is able to do so much with that. So Gear 5 out in the meta is still thriving, and honestly, you'll notice there's a lot of players playing Gear 5. So that is the one thing. Off of the League Battle map, he is exceptional in terms of support tags. He has so many tags that it hasn't even scroll bar on it. So going over that, you have your defender tag, huge. You have Straw Hat Pirates, which is a big one. I do recommend trying to put together some Straw Hat Pirates supports if you are focusing on that. That goes for any color, honestly, because there's a lot of Straw Hat units, so you can generally build those Straw Hats. You'll notice Choppers have Straw Hats and Zoan. I would generally lean towards that if I were you, so try and put those together. There's the Zoan as well, because this Luffy is considered Zoan. You have Captain, which is a decent tag, not necessarily too useful, but it does some stuff. So Captain's like whatever. I would say don't worry if you're trying to go for Captain tag. It's not worry about maxing that one out. That one's not that big of a changer. But the Straw Hat Pirates taking reduced crit damage can go a long way. Then you have New World. and on top of that, your worst generation. So he has a lot built into them. I don't think they could have packed any more into this unit. He does far too much and does it far too well. So we all love Gear 5. He shines bright. He does what he does best, and I think overall is phenomenal. Focusing on some chopper units would be ideal and would be great, as they are huge in support. So trying to grab those, depending on what color you're building. There's a lot of chopper units between all 3 colors. Try and pick those up if you can. Next is Kid Law, is also another phenomenal unit. He is great out in League Battle, and he is also great when it comes to support tags. So those are fantastic. The problem is he is an EX, so he's a little bit harder to level. If you want to just level a Law or a Kid individual single unit, you can do that as well, as they have nearly the same tags, depending on what time period you're taking from. So those are some honorable mentions I want to throw out there. They are huge, they're fantastic, and I think that is my top 5 must-have units. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, like, follow, share. It would truly help and support me. That's all I have, you guys. I'm your boy Romanpuss. I'm going to be taking off. Make sure you check me out on Twitch, live streaming. We play other games as well over there. So that's all I have, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Yeah, holy! Peace, beautiful people.